Welcome back to a Wicked Historian.
It's the year 1438, somewhere in the quiet French countryside. A mother wakes up and realizes something is wrong. Her 6-year-old son is gone. At first, she tells herself he wandered off, but then the hours pass. Then days, and deep down, she already knows. Because in her village, children don't just disappear, not unless the Baron's riders have been seen nearby. The villagers whisper about the castle on the hill, about strange noises at night, about boys taken away for special service and never coming back. But here's what makes this story truly horrifying. The man everyone suspects isn't feared, he's celebrated. Across France, he's praised as a holy warrior, a hero of God, a companion of Joan of Arc herself. His name is Gilles de Rais, and behind the walls of his estate, history was hiding something unthinkable. Gilles de Rais wasn't born a villain. He was born into one of the richest noble families in France. Land, wealth, power, the kind of privilege that made him almost untouchable. From a young age, Gilles was trained as the perfect medieval knight. He was educated, charismatic, and deeply religious. People admired him, priests respected him, soldiers followed him. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a symbol. And when a teenage girl named Joan of Arc arrived, claiming divine visions, Gilles was among the first nobles to support her. He fought beside her in battle. He helped break English strongholds. He carried himself with the passion of someone who believed he was serving heaven. By only 25, he was named Marshal of France, a national hero, a man people thought could do no wrong. But then, Joan was captured, put on trial, and executed, burned as a heretic by the very institution they had fought to defend. For Gilles, it wasn't just a loss, it was a collapse of reality. If someone as pure as Joan could be destroyed, what did that say about justice? About faith, about the world? Something inside him cracked. And slowly, the hero began to disappear. After Joan's death, Gilles withdrew from public life. He left the royal court, retreated into his remote castles. At first, people assumed it was grief, a nobleman mourning a saint. But then rumors began to spread. Strange visitors arriving at night, locked chambers, secretive experiments, forbidden books whispered about in hushed tones. And then, children began vanishing from nearby villages. Families searched the forests, priests offered prayers, but no answers ever came, because who would dare accuse a Marshal of France? Who would question a man the church once praised? His reputation became his shield. Villagers started noticing patterns. A boy disappears. After being seen near the Baron's land, another child vanishes. After being promised work inside the castle, people spoke quietly, terrified of being overheard. The castle wasn't just a home anymore. It felt like something else, a place where no one returned from. And Gilles, once a knight of God, was becoming a figure of dread. But the kingdom refused to see it, because it's easier to believe in heroes than to accept that heroes can become monsters. What began as a crisis of faith was about to spiral into something far darker. And now we'll uncover what investigators eventually discovered behind those castle walls, and why Gilles de Rais became a name France tried to erase forever. By 1439, the whispers were no longer just rumors. They were everywhere. Entire villages had lost children. Mothers begged priests for answers. Fathers searched forests and roads. But the trail always ended the same way. At the Baron's land, at the castle on the hill. And still, no one dared to speak his name too loudly, because Gilles de Rais wasn't just a nobleman. He was a Marshal of France, a war hero, a man once praised as holy. Accusing him felt impossible, almost sinful. But evil doesn't need permission, it only needs silence. Inside the castle, Gilles lived like a man haunted. The knight who once rode proudly beside Joan of Arc was now a shadow of himself. He surrounded himself with strange advisors, men who promised secret knowledge, men who claimed they could restore fortune or unlock hidden power. Gilles became obsessed with rituals, symbols, and forbidden texts, not because he wanted truth, but because he wanted control. He had spent a fortune on lavish spending after the war. His wealth was disappearing, his influence was fading, and he believed something dark, that the world owed him more, that heaven had abandoned him. So, maybe something else would answer instead. The children were often taken quietly. A boy promised work, a child invited to serve in a chapel. A family told their son would have food, shelter, education, a future. For poor peasants, it sounded like a miracle. But miracles don't end in silence. The boys never returned, and when parents asked questions, they were told, "He is serving God, he has taken vows, he is gone for a higher purpose." It was the perfect life, because religion made people obedient, and Gilles knew exactly how to hide behind it. Eventually, one powerful man began to notice. The Duke of Brittany. At first, even he hesitated. Gilles was connected to the crown, arresting him would cause scandal. But the missing children became impossible to ignore. The countryside was terrified, villagers were fleeing, and the Duke realized something dangerous. If Gilles was truly guilty, then this was not just murder, it was a stain on the entire nobility. So, in 1440, the Duke acted. An investigation was ordered, quietly at first, then urgently. Witnesses were questioned, servants were pressured, and slowly, the truth began to surface. One autumn morning, soldiers arrived at Gilles' estate. The Marshal of France, the hero of Orleans, was placed under arrest. The kingdom froze. People couldn't believe it, a holy warrior, accused of unimaginable crimes. But when Gilles was taken from his castle, the silence around him felt different, not sacred, not noble, heavy, like something buried was finally being dragged into daylight. The trial was unlike anything medieval Europe had seen. Officials expected denial, anger, resistance, but Gilles was strangely calm. As testimonies piled up, even hardened judges struggled to listen. The accusations were so disturbing that some records were sealed away for generations. Servants confessed to helping cover disappearances. Families told stories of sons who never returned, and the court realized this wasn't a single tragedy. It was systematic, a pattern, a nightmare hidden behind noble privilege. The man once called a saintly warrior was now being exposed as something else entirely. But the most chilling moment was still to come, because Gilles wasn't just going to be convicted, he was going to speak, and in part 3, the Marshal of France would confess to crimes so horrifying that even his judges would break down in tears. And the question became, was this evil? Or was it something even darker? By October 1440, the courtroom was packed, clergy, nobles, officials, all waiting to see how history would end. Gilles de Rais stood before them. No longer a hero, no longer untouchable, just a man. And then, he confessed, not with rage, not with excuses, but with a cold, unsettling clarity. Witnesses later wrote that the room felt like a tomb. Some judges wept openly, not because they pitied him, but because they could not comprehend what they were hearing. The same knight who once defended France had been living a double life. People asked the same question again and again. How does someone fall so far? Some blamed forbidden books, some blamed madness, some blamed the trauma of Joan of Arc's death. But the truth may be simpler. Power without limits creates monsters. Gilles had wealth, authority, privacy, a system that protected nobles while peasants had no voice. And for years, that system allowed evil to hide in plain sight. The court sentenced him to death, not quietly, but publicly. France needed the world to see that justice had been restored. On the day of the execution, crowds gathered. Some prayed, some watched in silence. Some still couldn't believe the man standing there was once a national hero. Gilles was hanged, then burned, and with that, one of the darkest chapters of medieval France came to an end. But endings don't erase what happened. The children were still gone, the villages were still broken, and the church, and the nobility. We're left with a terrifying realization: evil doesn't always come from outsiders. Sometimes it wears a title, sometimes it carries a holy banner, sometimes it is celebrated until it's too late. The castle eventually crumbled into ruins, the screams faded into history, but the story never truly disappeared, because Gilles de Rais became a warning, a reminder that reputation can be a mask, that institutions can fail, and that darkness can hide behind the most respected faces. Even today, historians still debate what truly drove him: madness, greed, delusion, or something far more human, the corruption of unchecked power. And if this hidden story shocked you, just wait. Because history is filled with figures just like Gilles. Men and women celebrated as heroes, while hiding secrets too dark to speak aloud. Click the next video on your screen to uncover another forgotten chapter that history tried to bury forever. And subscribe to A Wicked Historian, because the shadows of the past are deeper than you think.